Hello Rover peeps. You join me talking to my car's engine again. And what I'm going to do today, well, I have talked in previous videos that I had a change of exhaust and I didn't feel like I needed to do much in the way of fiddling with the engine or anything like that. It seemed to be fine, and then it wasn't fine, and then it was kind of fine again. And I thought, you know what, I'm actually going to, I've got a spare Sunday, I'm going to have a good look at see what the engine tune looks like. Now I've got a new exhaust all the way back that way, and could do a bit of an engine inspection. I've noticed one or two little things like this FASD. This is the coolant hose, weeps ever so slightly, so I'm going to do a little bit of nip here, a little bit of a tuck there, that sort of thing, check things over, and then do a proper engine tune. And one thing I did do, because I had horrendous difficulty starting in the cold, was actually enrich the mixture, and that would that improved things quite a bit. The other thing as well, I discovered that the non-return valve on the brake servo over there does have a habit of leaking every now and then. So I know I can, when I look at that hose area, certainly on the manifold, when I've got all this off, I can have a good look at the manifold end. I think it's looking a little bit proud over there. And then the valve, there it is, there's the valve there. That's, if I jiggle it around, it'll solve the problem. So I think it's something to do with that grommet or whatever. But in tuning the engine, if the revs start racing away, because you get vacuum leak, the revs go up. So if I bung that up, I should have a nice steady engine speed, which I have had, and then I haven't had, and things like that when I've been trying to tune the engine. So I do feel that the revs are probably a little bit low, and especially now that everything's breathing better, I think it's a good thing to do. So what I'm going to do first? Well, first I'm just going to do some basics. I'm just going to check the oil. There's the oil. Of course, this is not quite a proper Series 2, so I've got my gearbox on the wrong side. I'm going to go near that though. And I'll do an oil check first, which will be pretty straightforward. Right, give that a wipe. Pop it in, open it up. Don't know, I'm on the camera. On the camera? Where's the camera? There it is. So what's that looking? Probably a little bit on the low side maybe. I might give a little bit of a top up. Right, I generally add oil in increments, nice and carefully, and where are we? I mean, we're over the low part of it. I could probably put a little bit more in, but I think that'll do for now. Plus I'm running a little bit low of oil. Don't overfill, because you'll over pressurize or something like that. Add a bit at a time, don't go bananas. I mean, it's an RV8, isn't it? It's going to burn oil, it's going to drip oil. I mean, it definitely drips oil, as RV8s do. So anyway, done that. Now to take all the gubbins off. Let's pick you up. I'm going to take all of this off so I can get access to the bits I need to get access to. Okay, not too much. Let's do a little bit at a time. Okay, so it should be the last 6 millimeters, give you a bit of resistance, just like that. Another place to lubricate that's often neglected is in the distributor. I'm going to take the arm off, and just inside of there is a little felt pad. So you dab a bit of oil on there. If you think that distributor is going to be spinning round and round and round and round and round at quite some speed, it's a good idea to make sure it's in fine fettle. It's going to be a bit fiddly to show you that, so I'm just going to get on and do it myself, and then on to the next thing. Yeah, and then the other thing I was going to do was actually check that, because I noticed the other day that the car was weeping a little bit of coolant. I think the state of this is not looking brilliant. The Jubilee clip is certainly a bit crunchy. I'm going to undo that quite a bit. if I can move it out of the way. I think this hose is probably going to need replacing. I don't think I can cut it back. Move that out of the way. It's when it's warm, so I can see it. I can see a dribble from it. Mind you, it doesn't look too bad. So I wonder actually if it's just a case of when it's warm and it expands. I'm going to do that back up. When it's warm and it expands, it then just needs some further tightening. Ideally, I'd be putting those other types of clips on, but I won't be doing that today. Of course, got to make sure that the hose is the right way round for it to work properly. The other thing as well, you don't want this to leak coolant, because where is it? In there's access, and that's where the spring and plunger are. So if you end up with getting coolant in there, you're going to rust the spring. That then acts on the FASD, and you'll end up with a frozen FASD. Fully automated starting device. Of course, if you end up Googling FASD, you'll come up with fetal alcohol syndrome disorder, which is a very sad condition for the kids affected. I'll do that back up. It's nice and tight because I don't want that to leak. It's not going to be in the way of anything if I leave it poking out at an angle. I think that'll be fine. Okay, so I might need to nip that up. Coincidentally, if you end up with an errant heating gauge, check various things. Here we've got coolant and coming from the manifold to make sure that the manifold is fine. Check all main heating hoses and things like that. If you've got a needle that goes up and down and up and down, you probably haven't got a pressurized system. The caps as well, they need to be super tight, etc, etc, etc. Okay, so that's one little job done. I think I'm at a point now where I'm going to check engine timing. I'm going to do it properly as well. Plan is I'm going to drop the revs to 600. I think it's 600. I'll check in the book and then check the timing, and then I can start doing things with actually the carburetors themselves. Right, struggled to get started a little bit, but it's cold, it's old technology. Got an engine speed, what's the engine speed saying? 800, 130 RPM. Probably to be expected if this is doing its thing. It is. I'm not going to be fiddling around with setting that or anything like that today. I'm assuming that works. When the engine's warm, I'll make sure it's off. So, timing good. I'm going to allow that, part of this is going to get warmed up. I am going to drop the revs. Remove the vacuum in advance. Just put you down. Well, that was an effort. Right. But the engine speed is too fast, so I'm going to bring that down first. What does it say? 2600. I see it somewhere. So ignition timing at 600 revs, 6 degrees. So if I've set 6 degrees, I want to lower the engine speed and make sure that this is fine. So that's what I'm going to do. Change the engine speed. I'm just going to change one of these idle screws. Right, there's one there, there's one there. Engine speed is there or thereabouts. I don't know if you can see that. Timing is probably like good enough, so a little bit out. Comes and goes. I think that's alright though. A little bit of drama whilst I was fiddling around with things. That was leaking. As it got hotter and hotter, you can see there's some leak there. And I've got lovely amount of coolant. Started just gushing everywhere. So got the big gun screwdriver out and really tightened that up. Progress wise, this is timed 600 RPM as per the book. So yeah, changed the idle speed on these, brought it down to 600, got the timing gun. Everything is fine. It's not that I had any reason to suspect otherwise, but last time when I did the engine, I didn't check any of that. So so timing's fine. So I can move on to the next bit, which is to bring it up to temperature. Right, let's see where we're at then. So this is me, twin 175 CD with FASD. And ignition timing, good. Distributor air gap, I know is good. Spark gaps, no reason to think that they'd be any different since I did all this last time. So tappets, never gone near tappets, I'm going to do that. Carburetor, blah blah blah. Tamper-proof plugs, tools we're going to need. So removed everything on here, removed the dampers, raised each air valve, piston fully, done that, got a nice click. You can't see that, can you? So there we go, I'm talking about this bit here. So that's the click that I did earlier. Raise each piston, check with each needle shoulder is flush with the piston face on the same relative position. Okay, that's interesting. I'm gonna do that next. Right, here's inside the carb. I'll get my finger in. You can see the needle on both sides. It's ever so slightly recessed. So I'm pretty happy with that. A surefire way of actually checking would be to actually take the top, take the body off, take the top, withdraw it, and have a look. But like I say, I don't really want to go messing with the mixture because I think I'm okay with the mixture. So I'm going to find out MOT time. This car's still going to get an MOT, even though it doesn't technically need one anymore, I suppose. But carbon dioxide, it'd be a good idea to get those sort of checked anyway, and the general safety of the car. So I think I'm okay with that. So on to the next thing. Right, next, disconnect the throttle interconnected rod and connect a tachometer. Select P with the automatic. Start the engine, run it at 1500 revs per minute. So I could stand with could hold the throttle open. I think I'm going to use the mixture screws to actually get it to that. I'm going to have to just to hold it open. Turn the idle adjustment screws an equal amount to the none to hold the fast idle speed, which should be, was it 7 something? It's at the start anyway. Check the air is not being drawn into the FASD. I'll do that, and then that's fine. Then I've got to increase the engine speed. So whether I use the mixture screws again to do that, I don't know. And you've got 3 minutes. What else? Turn the adjustment, so then I've got to get to 800. Setting can now commence. And then I'm going to be forwards and backwards with my airflow meter to get those carbs balanced. I need the same on each side. So that's the interconnecting rod. So I'm going to release that. That's where it gets released. Then get the car going again. So there we go. For completeness, there's the rod. You can see it's just a ball joint, just a ball socket. Of course, when you put it back again, the engine's going to be really, really hot. So we do have to bear that in mind and put it back in some other way. Also, in adjusting the mixture, we might need a little bit of adjustment maybe in the in the connection, just to account for any change in that screw there, because that's going to act on the throttle linkage on that side, and likewise on this side as well. Right, let's get the engine going and get the engine warmed up. Come away. Interesting. If you wind the idle screws in all the way, it ends up being at 1,500 revs. Both the left and right carbs. Both the left and right carbs, and you end up getting both sides accordingly. So get the side in. Right, so engine speed started going nuts. So I've taken the hose off the manifold there, and also at the vacuum. Now, inspecting the hose, this is just sort of coolant hose, I suppose. I could replace this. I might also use a Jubilee clip to tighten it onto there. Manifold's hot. Because I noticed that some of the others have actually got clips on them as well. And I think that, because when this came off, there was a bit of a hiss, bit of a, mind you, there would have been vacuum, I suppose, in the hose itself. But I think it'd be a bad idea to put a clip on there anyway. Make sure that's actually been held in place. And then here, and then I've also got this kit as well. So I was going to bung it on the end. I really don't think it's the servo. I think it's just the grommet that's in there. But I'm going to put this on the end. I know that then's going to just hold the vacuum in the engine, which will enable me to tune it. I'm desperately needing some lunch. This is getting a little bit maddening. What have I discovered? So, right, whilst I might have actually put a Jubilee clip on the brake servo, on the manifold, I mean that holds it in place better. So a little bit of, just kind of makes me feel a bit better. This, I mean like pumping the brakes. So I always thought that this was something at fault here, and I thought, you know what? If I took this off, if it was leaking, if I took it off and I stuck my meter on it, which is over there, that would seal everything, and therefore I'd be able to tune this properly, hold the engine speed, tune it properly. The thing is that it still does it. It goes bananas. So I can tune it at what? I can tune it at well, if I disconnect the, what is it, isn't it? If I disconnect the vacuum, just like fiddling with the distributor when you take the vacuum advance off. So you take it off, engine speed is nice and stable, can tune it, 800 RPMs, get the carbs balanced. But I thought, well, as soon as I put this back on again, it's going to shoot up. So I thought, well, what else has got, connected to vacuum? Well, over here, that's the vacuum advance, and that's for the aircon. So I've disconnected at the aircon end, and you get the same effect. So it's almost like something like when you release the vacuum, i.e. you press the brake pedal, because the servo will do its thing and I don't know, like accept more vacuum or something like that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is that's going on with this thing. And I'm hungry. I need some food. I'll come back to it in a bit. Right. What else is going to affect engine speed? And that would be mixture. Anyway, I don't really want to go messing with mixture or anything like that. Here's my line of thinking. When this was on, that was pretty strong. R-V8s aren't supposed to need that, produce that strong a vacuum. I mean, I'm sure, this one here says in green or something, but looking on forums, things like that, maybe not as strong. And bear in mind, this was going to be set up with a bad exhaust on it. So, you know, it wasn't a good ecosystem. In the summer, went all over the manifold gasket, try and find some sort of leak there. And then curiously, isn't it weird that when we open up one of the hoses, introducing a vacuum leak, the revs drop. So my view at the moment, and I'm going to try this because I could just put it back afterwards, is carbs are going to be running too rich. So if I back them off a little bit, I want to see what then happens to the engine speed, because if then that backs off, that gives me some progress to work with. So that's my next thought. Let's see what happens. All right, so I got my tool in place, and I think I'm going to do a half turn to the left, so anti-clockwise for lean, left for lean, right for rich. So 1, that's a quarter, and that's a half. I'm going to do that to the other side. So I've still got, you know, quite a high vacuum. The engine speed is lower, and kind of coming down. Well, yeah, hovering up and down a bit. Oh, hang on, what's going on? It's coming down. All right, so hey, maybe I'm onto something here. Right, I'm going to back this up, get a bit more lead. Back this off again, I can clean it a little bit more, see where that goes. That's another half lean. Engine speed is down further, holding at that point. Vacuum's still well in the green. So I'm going to be inclined now to adjust the idle screws to see if I can get that down to 800. But this isn't racing off now or anything like that. Now I'll reconnect the aircon, see what happens with that. Right, check it out. That's within tolerance. That's almost 800. It says 775. Of course, I start to record, and then the revs drop. Sliding really low. Oh look, it's back to 800. It's up and down. Right, anyway. That is what, 9? Exhaust a little bit wide. Back there again. I'm going to leave it at that, I think. Yeah, I think I'll be happy with that. I mean, just listening to it, it sounds alright, sounds good. So I'm going to leave it there. Alright, so as mentioned, I think I'm pretty satisfied with where we're at. Just investigating that actually. Is that a paper gasket? I mean, is it? That's like a manifold, isn't it? A valley gasket or something like that. Obviously, that's gotten wet. Anyway, right. I thought they're metal underneath. Anyway, Right, so I'm going to put the engine back together again. I'm going to go for a test drive, see how the car performs. Be back. Well, I'll tell you what it's like when I come back. Let's put things back together again. I thought I'd give the air filters a good clean. This side, which is the driver's side, looks pretty good actually. Quite bright. The other side does not. Bear in mind that that side there, passenger side, car's driving off the FASD for 4.5 years of my ownership. So, not using the carburetors at all, so that could kind of explain why it probably, taking a lot of air in on one side. Oh, they're going back in the cart. Well, I didn't get very far because it now idles in drive at next to nothing. In fact, engine's cooled down a little bit because I've just tidied everything away, and yeah, like I say, idles at next to nothing. So I'm going to tweak the idle screws. You can get access to them. I know the bar's linked, I know that, but I'm just going to see if I can get it to idle. I mean, it runs sweetly. I mean, it's so smooth, but I've got to get the idle speed up. Right, just to finish things up then, I've just been on a 40-minute drive. What can I tell you? The oil pressure gauge is reading a little bit on the low side. If that's 30, 15, what's that, 6, 7? That should probably cut the engine out. I don't think that dial's doing what it should be doing. I think the sender's covered in oil anyway. Temperature gauge hasn't actually gone over 90. Probably will now. I'm actually sitting up at the house. It's been really good. I think I've probably finally got a pressurized cooling system. I've got petrol, which is nice. So here's the odd thing. Engine speed. So I increased the engine speed. So I think it's become a bit of an art. And you follow the Rover manual. I mean, a car 40 years old, it's not going to do what you want it to do. You give it a good squirt, and it should come down. There we go. But hey, at least it's not like stuck there at 1500 like it has been in the past. So whether that's mixture related, I don't know. Car itself though, pulls really well. It's eager, it's sprightly. It's good fun to drive, as SD1s are. So I'm gonna kill that. Yeah, so that's not a bad day's work. I guess the proof of the pudding will be whether or not the car starts when it is very cold. And it's part of the reason why I upped the mixture anyway. I mean, mixture was probably poor in the first place because of the exhaust and everything, but it's probably by enriching the mixture, the car was easier to start. Part of my brain is starting to think whether or not. Managed to fill my phone up then. What was I saying? Yeah, I think that the fuel air mixture was condensing on the manifold, and that was going back in the fuel again. That was making it hard to start. So we'll see what happens when the engine is properly cold. And then there might be another video. There might not be another video, but it's been good to see you again. Enjoy rovering wherever you are. Cheerio.